Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today in the news, we've got that thing about that guy Rob Reiner got killed. Him and his wife both got killed by their son. Oliver Rust, what's up, Oliver? Glad to see you here, man. Glad you can make it. But the big talking point, the big topic now isn't that the guy and his wife got murdered by their son. It's that Trump talked trash about the dude, right? Trump posted some shit, basically, and it wasn't in a favorable light. Trump was calling him a victim of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome and stuff, and basically saying uh, what the dude was when he was alive. I mean, the dude was a deranged leftist lunatic. You know what I'm saying? Trump just was just saying the truth, but everybody's up in arms about it, right? Everybody, Trump bad, all this shit. Crab man, what's up, dude? Glad to see you here. And the thing with me is, number one, the obvious duplicity of the same people complaining about Trump saying this shit were celebrating, a few months ago when Charlie Kirk got murdered. It's all fake, fraudulent bullshit. They'll celebrate when one person gets murdered and then want to, you know, poo-poo anybody who celebrates another murder. So it's all bullshit. I don't think any murders should be celebrated except for child molesters and mass shooters and shit like that. But my and the other question I have is that, just kind of in a general thing, and I've always wondered this: why is it then when someone dies, they automatically become a saint? Right, the minute their heart stops beating, you can't say anything bad about them anymore. Now that's changing. We're just people are just talking shit about uh, people who are dead, who got murdered or whatever, depending on what side of that fake ass aisle they're on. Were they Republican or Democrat? Republicans can celebrate Democrats getting murdered, and Democrats can celebrate Republicans getting murdered, and all that bullshit. All that, it's all just fake, fraudulent shit. But as a society, we're not allowed to talk shit about someone after they die, and just as a culture, a polite thing. It's polite not to, even if it's true. I can see not lying about them, but hell, I just don't. I wouldn't give a shit if someone talked shit about me, brought up the mistakes I'd made. After I'm dead, I'm not gonna give a shit. So, but I've always wondered about that. Why is it that we act like people are saints once they die? Even at the funeral, we don't just say, the high points and low points of somebody's life across the board. All we talk about is the high points. No matter what the person did, we just talk about the good things they did. And it's just kind of weird to me that's a taboo subject. Anything that a person did that might have been bad, we're not supposed to talk about it once they're dead. So it's just kind of a weird thing, I guess, that maybe it's human nature. I don't know. Zombie, what's up, Zombie? Bucky, hey, Buck. Glad to see y'all here. Yeah, everybody's got to make everything political, Crab Man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's another thing, Zombie. How do you raise a kid that murders his parents? What something went astray there. Something went awry. Uh, that really makes me wonder what kind of parents they were. I mean, they could have been straight off of the Waltons, or uh, Little House on the Prairie or something. It is possible, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't know what that guy's been through, the murderer. But maybe he was just completely a complete lunatic. I heard he was on drugs and shit his whole life or whatever. And that tells you right there that money can't buy happiness, because this kid had, all the money in the world. His dad was Rob Reiner, so but he probably didn't have much of a father, and I'm just speculating here. But Rob Reiner over there in England or wherever shooting movies and shit and doesn't have time to spend with his kid. So I doubt that he was any of those really famous people are wonderful parents spending a lot of time with their kids, off in another country shooting a film or whatever, you know, most of the time. You don't get that famous without devoting the majority of your life to the craft of whatever it is, singing, dancing, movies, whatever. Rusty Doob, what's up, Rusty? Glad to see you here, man. Yeah, yeah, Bucky. Yeah, what are they doing behind the scenes? There's no telling. Living and active. Hey, living. How's it going? Uh, Tripwire. What's up, Trip? Glad to see you here, man. Yeah, and then Artiste. Hey, Artiste. Glad to see you here. And then speaking of Tripwire, and we just had that mass shooting um, over there in Australia, and a certain religious affiliation over there shooting up a bunch of people. Which I gotta watch my. You say the M word here on YouTube, and you'll get. It's highly likely that you'll get, you know, your videos. You get a strike against you for talking crap about the people who are doing all the mass shootings and shit and all the terrorism and stuff. But hopefully y'all know who I'm talking about. Uh, but yeah, that's becoming prevalent around the world, around Western civilization. We're all being attacked, and in murders and all kinds of shit. Just violence, uh, and this kind of stuff. It really, I mean, it's obviously because it's so widespread across Western civilization. This migration and this violence and stuff is so widespread, completely across Western civilization. It's got to be by design. It has to be. It must be. And tell me these people just, happenstance, just all in every country across Western civilization, except there's a couple, I think Hungary and Poland or something, have actively kept them out. And they have like zero terrorists attacks in those countries. None. Absolutely none. The rest of us are just riddled with terrorism and violence, and all from this migration shit. So, oh, you grew up in Judge Dredd territory, Dolby? Yeah. But, yeah, the amount of violence today in 2025, military, civilian, just the amount of violence and murder and shit is just mind-boggling to me, right? Parents getting murdered by their kids shooting up schools, immigrants shooting up everything, immigrants blowing shit up, just all kinds of shit. And this level of violence in 2025 is astounding. There's just absolutely no reason for it, unless it's by design, and it's actively being uh, placed in our countries and in our lives, on purpose. That is the only explanation in my mind. It's insane. Yeah, yeah, Rusty. Rusty Doob, what's up, Rusty? Yeah, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Yeah, and that that shit, the the most difficult part of it is, right, is that nearly half of the population, the common folks, are brainwashed into believing that all this shit is good, that this is the best for the world, for the people of the world. All this chaos and murder and corruption. The over here in the United States, they're doing fraudulent Medicare and food stamps and all this stuff, living off the government tit fraudulently. You look at the statistics, and these immigrants are, 5, 10 times more likely to be on government assistance. Like 90% of their population is on the government tit, when the rest of the working population, the native born people, are only like 30% of us or 20% of us are on the government assistance programs. It's literally insane, and we're doing it to ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves because half of our population is clamoring for it. They're begging for it. They're demanding it. They're fighting against any kind of acts to stop it, right, or to reverse it. They will actively fight against it. They are pleading for their own demise. They're begging for the futures of their children to be sold away, and possibly the futures of their children's lives, because they're taking lives. They're murdering us literally. So to watch this happen in real time is really insane. It's actually insane, especially, well, just about every country in Western civilization, because you have hardcore patriots who love their country in Australia and Germany and America, Canada, all across Western civilization. We're patriotic people. Well, historically, we've been patriotic people who love our country and just want peace and freedom, and we want to trade with each other and be respectful to each other's countries, and but protect our own, and be proud of our own country. So it's really crazy to see this happen in these countries. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I would think would happen in Asia and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? In China, in Vietnam, and countries like that. But yeah, it's happening in Western civilization. Yeah, general pervasive lawlessness. Yep. Yeah, Crab Man. Why does the disagreement between two Middle Eastern tribes that goes back thousands of years have to still affect the world today? Yeah. Not only affect the world today, but affect Western civilization in a very harmful way. I mean, it's basically our destruction we're looking at. I mean, you keep going down this road and we're finished. We're done. You know, it's you can't keep importing people who are robbing you and killing you. If you did it on a small scale into your home, your home would be destroyed overnight. You know what I mean? You got a family of five and you invite three people over that, especially if you're not armed and ready to defend yourself, because your government, your HOA says that you can't have guns in that neighborhood, so or knives or whatever, and you invite three criminals in carrying guns and shit. It would happen overnight. It would happen in an hour. Your family would be done and they'd have your home. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's on a larger scale. Yes, it's in entire countries, an entire Western civilization. So it's taking longer, but it's the same result. The exact same thing is happening right now. Yeah, rich Colorado college town. Yeah, but yeah, crap, man, they need to let it go, but they never will. I mean, if they haven't for thousands of years, what's, you know what I'm saying? I could sit here and talk about the ways that the rest of the world could make it right, but then I get kicked off of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So I can't talk about the ways that the rest of the world needs to fix this shit. But uh, we all know what it is. We all know what the solution to the problem is. But it's not importing lunatics into the rest of the world. It's not spreading the insanity and the violence to the rest of the world. What kind of shit is that? How does that make a lick of sense? Uh, but we've got so many fools, so many morons who are clamoring for this. And I'm talking about other common people like me. We can sit here and talk shit about politicians all day long. We all know what they're doing. They're all corrupt. They're all just being sold to the highest bidder. Uh, they'll open the floodgates and destroy their country in a heartbeat. Every single politician across Western civilization will actively destroy their own country for power or money and power, whatever. They're all scumbags. Uh, so I don't know which one is worse, the invaders enacting the violence, or our own politicians who are facilitating it. So they're all evil, in my opinion. Uh, Government is making us do this unconsciously or not. Well, yeah, yeah, artiste, yeah, the government is facilitating it and shit. But if half the population weren't propagandized and brainwashed into celebrating it, then it wouldn't be happening, because everyone would stand up and be against it, and we just wouldn't allow it. But we're infighting amongst ourselves over something that is so completely obviously bad, from every direction. There is no good to it. There is just no good. Any good that they like to throw up in your face is just completely made up. It's fantasy, fabricated bullshit, right? There is no good. Zero. It's all just chaos and murder, and that's not good. So, yeah, there should be, Trip. Yeah. Yeah, what would Vlad do? Yeah, Hurst. That's exactly, dude. I mean, literally, her zombie. Yeah, literally. That's swift, public, humiliating justice. Yeah, deterrence. Yep, exactly. Yeah, yeah, zombie. Yeah, yep. One big ass mistake, America. Yep, you're right. Yeah, your comment got deleted. It doesn't surprise me when we go down this avenue, and I go into this. I think about talking about this line of talk. This subject on YouTube, and I kind of debate back and forth because it's liable to get me in trouble with YouTube. You know what I mean? And I like doing this, but this stuff needs to be talked about. I should have talked about this um, Australian shooting more uh, earlier, but I've been kind of mulling it around in my mind how I want to go about it without, at least trying not to get myself in trouble and get myself banned from YouTube or some shit. So yeah, they'll delete your comments. They'll censor us and stuff when we talk about this. So it's just insane. And again, this goes back to it. These huge corporations are right on board with this stuff. Okay? We can't even have a real upfront and out public conversation about this on any platform because the powers that be don't want it talked about. We're censored. We're banned. We're canceled, and all this shit, right? So that's why I'm trying to be I'm self censoring by not calling out them by name on here, because the AI algorithm will go through and pick up any key words. You know what I mean? And then censor me and either ban this video or give me a strike or just straight up cancel me. So, but the conversation needs to be had, and we need to. I don't know. I honestly don't know what we should do. We can't vote our way out of this shit. We know this. We know we're not voting. These scumbags. They'll give us just another replacement for the same scumbag we have. A Republican who will get up there and do nothing and vote with the Democrats, or the Democrats who will get up there and vote with the Democrats. They're all on the same team. There is no aisle. They tell us that from the other side of the aisle. There is no aisle. They're all on the same side. They're all in there together. Some of them are wearing red jackets and some of them are wearing blue jackets or whatever, and we're supposed to divide along those just completely meaningless symbols, and we do. A huge part of our population do. They divide themselves by those meaningless symbols and continue to get railroaded and destroyed, sell our future down the road because they vote Republican or they vote Democrat. You know what I mean? And the shit just continues. The ball of shit rolling down the hill just gets bigger and bigger, and they keep voting for it. Yeah, yeah. Conservative is a good way to put it, zombie, rather than Republican or whatever. You know what I mean? Jeff7, what's up? Happy hump day, dude. Yeah, yeah. The government, the corporations, the educational system, they've all had a hand in conditioning us. Yeah. Very few people actually wake up. Hardcore Republicans think they're awake. You know what I mean? Even though time after time their Republican representatives sell them down the river, just completely. You might as well be electing a bunch of chickens or something to go up there. They are ineffectual, and it's time after time. That's all I hear about from Republican, uh, you know, YouTube creators or whatever. That's all I hear is them crying about how the Republicans aren't doing anything. They're so weak and ineffectual. But this is surprising you now? Still? You're still crying about weak, ineffectual Republican politicians? Hmm? Uh, it blows my mind. So, what is the definition of insanity? To continually do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result every time. So these people keep voting for politicians and expecting them not to roll over this time, not to succumb to the Democrat, even when the Republicans are vastly overpowered. Like now, Republicans have the power to do basically anything they want, but they won't do anything. Nothing. We've had no long-term, uh, solutions to anything. They just keep the same, kicking the same can down the road, doing the same bullshit that they've done since Clinton. Since it's been for decades. It's been this way. Yeah, two wings of the same bird. Yeah, living. Yeah, Bucky's right. It all has to come to a head one day. Something's, you know, yeah. There are a few politicians. I will granted one or two of them that I pay attention to who are actually at least seem like they give a shit, you know, actually seem like they're real people. So, and I'll give that to them. But, you know, they are vastly outnumbered by the scumbags. And if those two or three, whatever, real people up there, if they need to burn with the rest of them, you know what I mean? If they need to, you know, get shit canned and become whatever carpenters or whatever with everybody, with all the rest of those some bitches up there, then that, you know, that's fine with me. You know, get rid of the good ones too. I don't care. They're all scum. And so, you know, you got to break a few eggs. But I don't know if that will ever happen. You know, it'll have to get really bad before it ever happens. One big club and we ain't in it. Yeah, zombie. Rocker, what's up? Yeah, Rocker. Yeah, conservative, libertarian leaning. Yeah, that, you know, and those things, I really, it might be nitpicky of me. I understand, but even those kind of labels, right? No, I'm conservative, libertarian leaning. Yes, that would more accurately describe me than, say, Republican or something like that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, putting these labels on myself, I kind of shy away from that. You know what I mean? I just like to think of myself as a free thinker. I'm a free thinking, free human being. I've got an open mind, and you know, and I know the difference between right and wrong. You know, that's point blank. And all this importing murder and destruction is wrong. It's bad. I don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand this. I don't have to be a conservative Republican to understand this. It's just bad. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, man. I don't understand it, not one bit. Yeah, Rusty. Yeah, and that's the thing, Rusty. If we choose, you know, and here's the thing. I mean, honestly, we're divided. Okay, we're divided: conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat, or whatever the labels are in your country. Labor versus whatever, and all that stuff. We're divided. Um, and now we're divided, and they pick away at our rights. You know what I mean? And our liberties, and they bring in these immigrants and import all this violence and stuff slowly over time. I mean, this importation of immigrants and stuff, and all this violence and stuff has been building for decades. This isn't just now happening. This has been happening for decades. These people have been living off of welfare for decades. And there are so many of them that, you know, they're electing leaders from amongst themselves in the United States anyway. Now, and they pick away at this stuff, and they do this stuff slowly. Why? Because they know if they take too much at once, all at once, then it will unite people, and everyone will have to stand up together. It'll be so bad that they will have to stand up together and say, no, this is enough. I hate what you're doing more than I hate Republicans. I hate what you're doing more than I hate Democrats. I hate what you're doing more than I hate liberals or libertarians or whatever. So we're all going to stand up together. That is their biggest fear. And that, I believe, is what they try the hardest and plan to avoid, is forcing everyone to rise up together. All right? Because once that happens, it's done. The jig is up. The game is over. There's nothing they can do about it, because we don't have to do anything. All we have to do is refuse to comply. If everyone just refused to comply, that's it. The jig is up. No more. Game is over. So, and they can't allow that. We don't have to grab pitchforks and take to the streets or anything. All we have to do is no, no more. I'm going to stand with my lunatic Democrat, blue-haired freak there, and we're going to sit down together. Yeah, we're going to sit down together and just ignore you fools until you go away. And we don't care how long it takes. If that ever happens, that's when it's over. But they'll never let it happen. They're not. They've got too much power, influence, and all this stuff, and too many people are brainwashed um, into it. So yeah, I doubt it'll ever happen because they're planning and rolling this shit out is to in a way to prevent that. They are actively trying to prevent that. Yeah, never claim anything but Gen X, Bucky. Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah, zombie. Yeah, we would all be. You take us back to the '70s. We would all probably be moderate left, kind of left leaning. We would probably vote Democrat if we voted back then. We would probably be left leaning, moderately left, and probably vote Democrat if we voted. It has taken such a hard turn and we've stayed the same. We're stayed the same. Just we know what's right, we know what's wrong, and moderate everything in moderation. Uh, have some immigration, but not insane immigration. Have a good immigration system that allows some good people to come over and stuff. And but all of this shit when I go to the doctor and I have to spend a week looking for a doctor who speaks native English and I don't give a shit what color they are. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a shit what color they are. As long as they speak native English, they're hard to find now. Dentists, doctors, all this shit. Why are all the dentists from Pakistan and Afghanistan and shit? Why are all the doctors from India or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that shit burns my ass. It really does. Yeah, yeah, Rocky, you're right. Same shit all over again, dude. The shit storms here, Rusty. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that is possible, Rocker, to find an honest politician. I will say, just by statistics and law of averages and all that shit, that there must be a couple, you know. But I don't know. I honestly don't know if there are any. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene. She seems like she is legit. Possibly she is. Or possibly she could be a psyop, a plant. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, the key word is free. Yeah, free. It's about freedom, man. Jody, what's up? Free will. Well, depending on what you're talking about as free will, what the definition of that word. I believe that is what humanity is based on. Yeah, our free will. So I believe we have free will. Whether we have the freedom to use that free will, that's a completely different subject. Yeah. Well, yeah, crab man. I totally believe that. Some people go into politics with good intentions, but then they get wrapped up in bullshit. Either they sell out for the money. If they won't do that, then they'll get some blackmail stuff on them. If that's not the case, then they'll just create some shit and they won't get elected next time. You know what I mean? Or if they get too popular, then they'll just go the way of the Boeing whistleblower. You know, and delete themselves. So it's almost impossible for them to stay up there and be real people for any length of time. You know what I mean? Yeah, all Yeah, they're all relatives. Every U.S. president is related by blood, even Obama. Yep, yep. You're right, Jody. Yeah, I've seen that several times, Bucky. What Jody just said about the presidents being, yeah, they're all like third cousins and shit. Yeah, yep, I've seen that several times. Yeah. No, Trip, we should be angry. You know what I mean? Our heritage, our culture, our people are systematically being destroyed. Our way of life, our freedom is being destroyed. If that doesn't piss you off, then what the hell? You're so far brainwashed that you're not even a human being anymore. You're just a robot consumer, you know, soulless entity. You might as well be you're an NPC, right? Something like that. Whatever. But a real human being almost has to be pissed off about this shit. So yeah, Trip, that you no need to apologize, dude. We should be pissed off. We should be trying to figure out how to change this shit. You know what I mean? Uh, we'll see. It's set up in a way now that it'll be very difficult to do it because, like I said, half the country, your country, my country, Canada, they're all so brainwashed and so dead to the world that you know if if all of us free thinking, common sense people sat down and refused to vote, then the rest of the population would just vote in a bunch of complete and total lunatics. And that it would just hasten our demise. It's the entire population, or at least the vast majority of it, has to wake up and sit down at the same time and refuse to comply. So we'll see. And over here in America, Trip, we know we have firsthand uh, experience with these kind of shootings and shit. So we know exactly what you're going through, dude. The anger, the feeling of helplessness, the all this shit. We have that shit all the time. It's not, so we can sympathize with you and empathize with you because we've gone through it. We just had one of our biggest names in conservatism assassinated a few months ago. Catch, what's up, Catch? Yeah, yeah. Get pushed out quickly. All these no term limits and all this shit. They can just sit up there for decades and decades and sell our country down the road. You know what I mean? The one thing term limits would do, because it takes a couple years, right? You get up there. If I got elected to Congress right now, you know, some people would probably come at me, and I'd be confused. If I had a brain at all, I'd be confused and standoffish with all that bullshit, and I'd try to figure out how the workings are. You know what I mean? And so by the time I got my bearings right, then I decide whether, got comfortable in there and start wheeling and dealing and start taking a couple bribes here and there and, you know, get my lobbying cash flowing and shit. It would take a few years to get comfortable and get situated in there. Now, that's by the time you get comfortable and situated in there, that's when you need to leave. Okay? Because in the first few years, you should be voting for your constituents and shit and doing, what you're supposed to be doing, what the idea that you had going in before you can get bought and, paid off, before, somebody can get some video of you with an underage hooker and shit and blackmail you or whatever, all that kind of shit. Yeah. Holy shit. Hung up on you on purpose. Yeah, Artis, that shit is just mind blowing. Yeah, they work from their homes now. Yeah, dude, holy shit. Yeah, yeah, catch Australia, and they have more than enough reasons to be angry. Their anger is justified, 100%. Anybody to say anything else is is just spouting propaganda and completely brainwashed, in my opinion. If you're not angry about that shit, you're brain dead. Oh, ashamed, yeah. Yeah, Trip. And that's a mild word, ashamed, in my opinion. Yeah. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, dude. Yeah, Jody, yeah, exactly. But that's part of the thing, that's part of the thing. They're commanded by their laws to spread out and indoctrinate everyone into their religion. It's by law. They must. And it's by law. They must lie in order to do it. Because if they told everyone the truth, then they would fail. So they're not over here to assimilate into our culture and become, you know, civilized in the Western mindset of the word, our Western definition of the word. They're not over here to do that. They're over here to take over. Literally, it's not a figure of speech. It's not hyperbole. It's not. That's why they're here. It's in their laws. They must, or they are. It's like um, whatever. Christians praying to Jesus or whatever. There are things you're supposed to do. You know, 7 Hail Marys or whatever, and go to spreading around the world and taking over and spreading their religion is in their law. They're not here to assimilate. They're not here to become Americans or Australians. They're here to make us them. And you just look it up. Look it up. Look up what those laws say. I'm not the Sharia law. Look it up and read it yourself. I did a video on it, and I read all those laws last year or earlier this year. I guess it's not next year yet, but earlier this year I did a whole video on Sharia law, and it's disgusting. It is horrifying. Yeah. So the mind blowing thing is when I did that video, um, Americans got in the comments and and uh, and said they're brainwashed into believing something else. Right? They were calling me out and saying that I was wrong, and I just read it verbatim what the laws say. I went to several different sources and found and compared them to make sure that they were right, and they said I was misinterpreting the shit and all this. Right? Americans. So they are brainwashed into thinking something completely different. Just read it yourself. Yeah, it's not only is it bad, it's disgusting. Some parts, some of those laws are disgusting. Yeah, yeah. Let them switch salaries. Not only that, living. Let them switch places. Let those politicians go out there and catch bullets. Huh? Let them go out there on the front lines. Used to be those politicians, the kings and stuff, would be out there on the battlefield with the soldiers. When's the last time you heard that some PM or some king or some president got killed on a battlefield? Has that ever happened in our lifetime? So there is absolutely no consequence to sending some people over there to die. I'm not going to be there. My kids aren't even going to be there. My kids don't join the army. Are you kidding me? They don't join the army. And even if they do, they're not gonna be in danger. They're not gonna go to a post where there's actual danger. That one of them might join for PR, public relations, and become some kind of what is that, like the computer hacker or whatever, signal specialist or some shit like that. They're not going to be out on a battlefield carrying a rifle and with a backpack and shit. Yeah, yeah. Congress should be like jury duty. Yep, they draw your name out of a hat. That would be the best way. And it would be a Audrey, what's up? I'm glad to see you here. Yeah, that would be the best way. Our politicians would just be like a revolving door of jury duty. It'd be a pain in the ass, but you had to do it. And all these politicians, they don't have any skin in the game. They have no consequences. You know, they're set up for life. Their kids are probably set up for life. Uh, so yeah, Jack Mercer, what's up, Jack? Your end button is sticking, artiste. Yeah, they think they're chosen, Bucky. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly every religion does, right? Jamie, what's up, Jamie? Oh yeah, yeah, Jamie, you're right. They're anything but peaceful. That is the absolute last thing they are. And this shooting over there in Australia is absolutely a testament to that. No, no, Catch. It doesn't work with extremists. No, they don't give a shit. They'll just regurgitate their propaganda at you, and that's it. That if you invite them to go read the facts, to go look the shit up, because you have to go to several sources, so you have to tap your phone about 5 times. So that's inconvenient. That's too much. I know what I heard from some bozo. So so that's what I believe. Those are the facts. What some dipshit told me. You know what I mean? It's stupid, really. But yeah, that those laws are complete garbage. For the rest of humanity, you know. Um, so it's really bad. Connecting the rabbit holes. What's up, dude? Glad to see you here. Almost noon there. 8:45 p.m. in the summer. Trip. That cracks me up. Drone operators, yeah. Oh yeah, that's one thing I believe we've got in store for us is they're just going to put AI in the drones, and AI will fly around and just zap whoever needs zapping. Yeah, I believe that's on the horizon. I believe they already have the technology. They're already doing it. They just, it's not public knowledge yet, but that's just what I believe. Yeah, more sergeants in Congress. Yeah, more just regular people. But yeah, sergeants, these scumbags. We should just outlaw lawyers from being politicians. They're lawyers. 90% of these people up there are lawyers. They start out as lawyers, then they become district attorneys or whatever, and then they decide to run for office. And we all know how lawyers are. We all know about how the justice system is. So they're coming from one scumbag swamp into another scumbag swamp. We're electing swamp creatures to get us out of the swamp, and they don't want out of they want to expand the damn swamp. They don't want to in the swamp or clean up the swamp or anything like that. They're swamp creatures. So yeah, that's one of the things that we have that is just a horrible idea that people have been doing. The masses of the population have been doing for decades, is electing these lawyers who talk a good game. They'll get up there and they'll spout all their shit, right, and talk an excellent game, and they've been bought and paid for the first. That's how they get all their commercials and shit up there for their campaign, is because some big, billionaire funded them, and they're owned by the billionaire. They vote how they're told. So, yeah. Not only that, they have no morals, no scruples. They're lawyers. But 99% of our politicians are ex-lawyers. Never done a damn day's work in their lives. Never contributed to society in any way. Yeah, they're scumbags from Jump Street. They were scumbags before they even went in there, and Capitol Hill up there, Washington, is not going to change them. They're not going to all of a sudden turn a new leaf and say, "Oh, I'm for freedom. I'm for, the people." They're not going to say that shit, Yeah. Yeah, Audrey. Yeah, Ukraine is a testing zone for that shit. Yep. Yep. Mosquito drones. Yeah, I've seen those, zombie. Yeah. Cockroach drones. Yep. Chaz, what's up, Chaz? Glad to see you here. Yeah, they start out lawyers and end up millionaires. Yeah, Chaz, you're absolutely right. Yeah, exactly, Jamie. The government is not the answer, it's the problem. Yes. Yep. And what do people do? They vote the problem bigger. They keep making the problem bigger and bigger and bigger. It is Government is like a cancer, okay? It feeds on itself. It feeds on the host and just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding, and it tricks the host into thinking that it's beneficial, right? So the host feeds it. It's a parasite. It's a cancer. All government, every single kind of government. The only thing that makes the United States government any kind of special is that we have our Constitution that was written by normal people, and they did it to limit government. They made a Constitution, made it the law of the land to limit government, and but over the decades they've gotten around the Constitution. Back in 1800, if they pulled any of this shit, they would have been drug out into the streets and and done whatever to. But EFOG, what's up? Because it was against the law to subvert the Constitution. It was up there with murder and stuff, right? Back then, you didn't subvert the Constitution. Now, we've been invaded by so many foreigners who observe different laws and obey different laws than we do. Our Constitution doesn't mean shit to them, and we've allowed our politicians to create these huge voting blocks out of these foreigners. Now these foreigners are voting in more like themselves. Now, instead of just becoming cockroaches leeching off the system, they're voting them in as leaders now. And that snowball's just getting bigger. Joe P, what's up, Joe P? Everyone named Johnson in Blazing Saddles. Drone subs, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's right along that alley there, Tripwire. Drone subs would be next. Yep. Oh yeah, all of Western civilization is corrupt. Every government, it's all corrupt. Yep. Yeah, Audrey, I 100% agree. Gabby Johnson, Crabman. Yeah, that whole EU thing and the global bullshit, the all that what is it? IMF, International Monetary Fund, the WHO, World Health Organization, the what's the other one? World Economic Forum and all that shit. It's all that shit is straight up diabolical. Straight up evil. And we see it playing out around us. All that shit being enacted around us. Trillions of dollars spent on propaganda to convince half of us that, that killing them is for the best. That erasing them and their descendants is for the best. That's the best thing in the world, is to kill them and their children. And they're brainwashed enough to believe it. Um, and if you say the opposite, no, I want you to be free and I want your children to be free, then they will call you a bigot and a racist and shit. It's completely dystopian, I'm telling you. It's mind boggling. Yeah. Bucky's out of here. All right, Buck. You be cool, buddy. Living. All right. You too, man. Bye, Living. Thanks for showing up. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, Robert. That's probably in the works after Generation X is gone, because there'll be so few people who give a shit about that anymore. The Second Amendment, that they'll be able to do it then. All the boomers and all Gen X, once those two generations are gone, it won't be hard. It won't be difficult, I don't think, for them to take the guns. Yeah, no, most of us wouldn't, Jamie, but yeah, once we're gone, that I don't think that these younger generations will. They've been raised up with mass shootings and shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they've done it in every other country. They've done it in Australia, England, probably I think Canada. Um, so yeah, it's just a matter of time. It'd take longer because of our Second Amendment and stuff. It'll take longer. It is taking longer, as a matter of fact, but it's happening. They've got gun restrictions in cities and stuff across the nation. So yeah, it's just more difficult to roll out over here. It's more difficult for them to do, but not they're not going to stop trying. All right, Trip. Yeah, good man. Yeah, they have no self preservation. They don't have their. I mean, they're brainwashed with the propaganda and the all the lies and the bullshit, right? So, and then they'll vote for the Republicans to protect their Second Amendment, but when the big bill rolls through to change the Second Amendment, then the Republicans will roll over, and then they'll get up here and cry about how the Republicans have no spine and shit. That's exactly how it'll happen. They took our guns because our Republican politicians have no spines. The Republican politicians were on board with taking your guns from the beginning, from Jump Street. They were all on the same side the entire time. And that's how it'll happen. They'll be up there crying about it. Matt Walsh will be up there crying about how the Republicans sold everybody out, and in the same thing he's crying about now. He'll be doing it in 20 years when they take the guns. So the Republicans sold us out, and and all this shit. Uh, Vote Republican again. Keep voting Republican. That's all I got to say. Keep doing it. Yeah, maybe next time it'll turn out different. Or and maybe vote Democrat. At least then you're not crazy. You're not doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. At least it'll be different. You still get the same result, but at least you did a different thing. Artiste, you're black? Oh shit. No, well, that's all right, dude. Hell, I hope that everyone has common sense. You know what I mean? This isn't about black and white and all that shit. It's not about color of our skin. That is the most arbitrary bullshit that I can think of. You know what I mean? It's about right and wrong. You know, it's about our culture and our nation and our civilization. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that it is about our civilization. It's about Western civilization. You know, no matter what color you are in any country, it's about Western civilization. And Western civilization started clear back with the Greeks. You know, so yeah, yeah. I was born a poor black child, artiste. You ever see? You ever seen the jerk? You mean I'm gonna stay this color? That's it's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, Chaz. Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. Yeah. Until we're gone, then it'll mean. Well, look at the word racism. Does the word racism mean what you think it means? Or maybe you, Chaz, know what the word racism means. But most of the people don't know what the word racism means. Okay? Most people do not. They think it means prejudice, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. Okay? So if they can change the meaning of the word racism, they can change the meaning of the word infringed. Think about it. That's some Orwellian shit. That's why they play with the language. That's why they manipulate the language. That's why they propagandize these different words: racist, bigot, transphobe. They call us transphobic if we say, maybe women shouldn't be getting beat up by dudes in the Olympics. Oh, you're a transphobe. Okay, do you know what that word means? Transphobic? I'm scared of trans people because I don't want them beating up women. They don't even know what the damn word means. So yeah, uh, infringed. That's easy enough to change the definition of that word. If they can make people believe all this other shit, change the meanings of all these other words, they can change the meaning of the word infringed. Oh, okay. Blazing Saddle jokes. Oh, all right, Artiste. I got you. All right, buddy. Yeah, yeah, Jamie. Yeah, yeah. And being a being a service member, you join the army and you go in there and you're next to Native Americans, Asians, blacks, Hispanics, and you're all willing to die together for the same cause. Once you do that, you just can't see, people as separate anymore. You just can't you can't divide in along those lines and shit. You know what I'm saying? Once you're willing to give your life for somebody, um, and die alongside them, and you see them uh, willing to die alongside you, all that shit's petty. It's meaningless. It's actually meaningless. All that, skin color and all that shit. So, yeah, and that's you just blew your mind, artiste. Yeah, well, that's the thing. They want them to carry legal penalty, Robert. Yeah, they want them to. Yeah, honey badger first, artiste. Yeah, man, don't get me started on the honey badgers. I love those bastards. Yeah, come together as one. I mean, and part of our job as Generation X is to set an example for younger people, right? That's it. That's just part of our job. The boomers didn't do it. I'm just, as a group, they did not do it. They're not setting a good example for younger people. They're out there spanking Trump dolls and dressing up as tacos and waving, So we we have to do better than the boomers. Come on, we can do better than the boomers. It won't be difficult. So get this damn jacket straightened out. All right. So yeah, I believe that at the very least we can set a good example for the younger people and teach them about the truth, the truth about race, the truth about nationality, the truth about patriotism, and not let them just, the only thing they ever hear in their lives is the propaganda. We can, at the very least, we can do that. I believe. I don't think that's too what's the word? Inconvenient. So yeah, and if one person, one younger person runs across this video or any of my videos where we talk about this kind of stuff, uh, they might, it might not wake them up. They might think I'm full of shit, but it'll stick in their heads, and then 3 months later they hear somebody else saying the same shit, and it's like, wait, oh, I've heard that before. I don't remember where, but I think I've heard that before. And then they might think about it. And then the next time they hear it, and the next time they hear it, and eventually it'll wake them the hell up. So I'm not naive enough to think that I'm gonna wake up a bunch of people with up here, but I can get the wheel started. I can get I can start the ball rolling at the very least. Yeah, yeah, we'll stand with you, Jamie. Yep, yep. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're brainwashed and you want to sell your country down the road and Western civilization down the road and impoverish its citizens, then you're wrong. I don't give a shit what color you are. I don't give a shit. And if you're the opposite of that, you're right. And I agree with you. I don't care. I'm not going to disagree with you because your skin color is not the same as mine. You know what I'm saying? You're on my team. I'm going to throw you the ball. I don't give a shit. The color of your skin is got nothing to do with it. Yep. Yeah, they had bad role models, Jamie, and that's absolutely right. Yeah, well, Robert, yeah, if it gets, well, it's going to. Um, yeah, that's what it's going to take, something like that. Yeah, Robert, you're right. A peaceful sit down, uh, but it'll take a lot of people. 3 or 4 people ain't going to do it. They'll just, scoop them up and haul them off and put them in jail for over the weekend and then let them go home. It'll take too many people to ignore. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, Audrey. Yeah. Yeah, the truth is rising. Yeah, artiste. Yeah, I agree, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, the hard truth. And we value the truth. We do. We value the truth. Maybe we're the only ones left. Hopefully, Gen Z, if they're waking up. But um, The boomers don't, as a rule. The boomers don't give a shit about the truth, and they're all of this. Savage Lee, what's up? Glad to see you here. But yeah, all these feelings, and feelings aren't truth. I mean, yeah, you might feel that way. That might be the truth. But because I feel like, this importation of these violent people into our countries, I feel like that's a good thing. That doesn't make it true. It just doesn't. That does not make it good just because you feel like it. I feel like, I feel like the climate is changing, so we need to sell our souls and everything we own in order to stop this change so that, okay, that doesn't make it true. It just doesn't. It doesn't make it true that, that any of this shit is good. That, just because you feel like the Second Amendment is bad, that doesn't make it bad. You feel like guns kill people. That doesn't mean that a gun's gonna jump up and start walking and talking on its own and start killing people. People can kill each other with anything, literally sticks and stones. So yeah, all that feeling bullshit is garbage, and we need to actually, as a culture, begin to value truth. That's one of the like insidious undercurrents that have been injected into society of Western civilization, is all this feeling, all of this feeling bullshit. And I'm not talking about, you might shed a couple tears when your aunt dies or your dog dies or something. That's perfectly understandable. But I'm talking about, I feel like the freaking sky is green. Okay, you're full of shit is what you are. The sky is blue or gray or whatever, You don't get to feel reality into reality, You don't get to feel the truth. The truth is the truth. We have the truth, and we have to work around it. We don't get to change it by the way we feel. It's insane. I mean, literally insane. It's used to be, if people walked around talking like that, they'd have had to get locked up in a loony bin. Now, that's normal. They say, we're taught to believe that that's normal. That's the run of the mill. You used to have a boss you called shithead. Oh, okay. Open-minded and yeah, Audrey. All right. Yeah. Every single government throughout the history of the world, even if it started out good and honorable and stuff, has turned against its people. Every single one. You have to maintain a constant and vigilant stranglehold on those slimy bastards, and if you let it slip, you're done. And that's what's happened in America. That's what's happened in Australia. That's what's happened across Western civilization. We've gotten lackadaisical. We've gotten, whatever. As long as I get my Uber Eats and my Xbox account, I'm good. I don't care whatever happens. And government's taken over. And there's no denying it. Now we're overran with a federal government, a cancer of a federal government that is destroying us from within. And they have allowed these monopolies, these huge conglomerate corporations to do the rest. These corporations and these hedge funds and all this shit to devalue our money and destroy everything. It's not the production of goods or anything else that creates inflation. It's straight up that our government keeps borrowing more and more money. And when they borrow more money, the bank must manifest more money in the internet, and now there is more supply. The more supply you have of something, the lower the value. So the more dollars we have, the less the dollar has of value. The more dollars it takes to buy a loaf of bread. The value of the bread hasn't gone up. Not 1 cent. The value of our dollar has gone down. That's it. So until we wake up to this shit as an entire civilization, at least country by country, we're headed for the shithole. We're flushing ourselves down the toilet. How beautiful the green skies were, Savage. Yeah, in a country that is for 50% replaced. That's insane connecting, yeah. All right, yeah. He doesn't listen to it, but he understands what's going on, Audrey. Yeah, Jack. Yeah, in my opinion, AI is a tool, just like anything else, um, a baseball bat, right? You put a baseball bat in a baseball player's hands, and they'll play a game with it that everybody enjoys. You put the baseball bat in a murdering lunatic's hands, and now it's something different, right? You put the baseball bat in a kid's hands, and now it's something different again. Uh, so yeah, AI is a tool, and it'll be used for harm, just like everything else. The internet's a tool. It's been used for harm, just like everything else. Social media, everything, you name it. Uh, and that's why AI is bad, not because just inherently it's bad. It's because the people who are using it and creating it are bad. Yeah, yeah, they're giving AI way too much control, and they won't restrict it. They won't restrict these corporations and what they can do with it. So yeah, and they're selling the people down the road. And in the future, we're going to find out. They're not restricting AI today. 2025, they refuse to restrict AI. Donald Trump refuses to restrict these corporations and what they can do with AI. It is just an open field for them right now. So in 10 years, we're going to find out what that means. In 10 years, we'll know whether this was a good decision or a bad one for Donald Trump to do absolutely nothing about this AI. We'll find out. That's one thing I guarantee you. We'll find out. Yeah, exactly, Jamie. That's one of the worst thing was the institution of the Federal Reserve. The next step in that destruction of our economy and the value of our dollar was taking us off the gold standard. Those two things were, the two nails in the coffin for the value of our money and our jobs and our, everything, our standard of living, everything is those two things were the destructors. Exactly, Chaz. That is a great question, dude. Why do they need our tax money if they can just print up more out of the ether? Trillions. 38 trillion so far. If they can just print up more out of the ether, just manifest more out of the ether, and now we're just paying back the interest on the loan barely. We're not even, I don't even think we're past that now. We can't even pay back the interest on the loan. So, why do they need our tax money? It doesn't go to fund anything. It just goes into that black hole of debt. So why does the bank need interest? Why doesn't the bank just quit charging interest? The bank is so rich, money doesn't even, it's meaningless to them. So why are they putting us in debt? Why don't they just say, okay, The American people have had enough. We don't need their taxes. No more taxes. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to hurt anything. We just let the American people have better lives. They won't. Do you honestly believe that us paying, I don't know, what is it, 80 billion a year or whatever we pay in taxes? I have no idea what it is. I could be off by a factor of 10. But do you honestly believe us throwing that money into that black hole of debt at the bank is changing anything? Is any good for anyone anywhere on the planet? The politicians just borrow the money, and that money is just manifested out of the ether, out of nothing, and then they rob us and throw it in a black hole. That's what happens. Our money doesn't go to fund public works and go to fund welfare and go to fund war. All that money's just borrowed. So yeah, it's all a big Ponzi scheme. It's all fake. Literally fake, and not just like like just something to say everything's all fake and gay. And no, our monetary system is 100% fake. It's just a big mind. It's just a big mind job, right? It's just a big trick, a big magic trick. And they're using it to rob an entire population. And most people are Angie, what's up, Angie? Most people are brainwashed into thinking that that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it is. That's the normal course of events. I pay my taxes. Oh, those people on welfare, they're spending my tax money on Snickers and soda pop and stuff. No, they're not. No, they're not. Nope. They're not spending your tax money on anything. Your tax money went into a big black hole. The government borrowed that money to let them buy soda pop and shit. It's completely meaningless. Now, should they be able to buy soda pop and shit with food stamps? I don't know. That's up for debate. I don't think so. Just for the health of the children. That's just retarded to me. That people should be able to spend money that the government borrowed on just dog shit. You got that to keep yourself alive, not to splurge on candy and shit. But whatever. Whatever. But when you boil it down, I really don't give a shit. You can rot your kids' teeth out if you want and do whatever. I don't care. It's not my tax money. I don't care. My tax money is being burned up in a black hole of debt. It's not, and it forever will be, because $38 trillion is too much to pay back. We're past that point. There's no paying it back now. So, defaulting on that is it's inevitable. Angie, Mr. Dunham, what's up? Glad to see y'all here. Yeah, Robert, yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, we can't call evil behavior evil anymore. Yeah, Chaz, it's all about control. And controlling another person is evil, right? That's evil. Anyway, come over to Chaz's house and try to make him do some shit that he doesn't want to do. I don't care if it's mow his lawn or whatever, comb his hair. It's evil to try to control him. That's some kind of evil thing inside people that want to control other people. That shit's evil. People should have freedom to do whatever the hell they want, as long as you're not harming anybody else. But if I want to run around with a shaggy ass ugly mop of hair, I should be able to. If I want to build a doghouse in my front yard, I should be able to. Now, we talked about that before, about HOAs and stuff. If you join an HOA, then that's, you can't cry about that afterward. Oh, I want to have a piece of shit clunker in my yard. Well, you shouldn't have joined an HOA. So, yeah, spiritual awakening. Oh, all right. Yeah, Audrey. Yeah, the that whole spiritual thing, I think I just honestly believe that it's a spiritual war. I think it's good versus evil. I really do. Um, to take away people's freedom, to take away people's choices, their and to make them turn them into debt slaves or whatever is evil. It's evil. It's bad. To erase an entire people's culture is bad. It's evil. I wouldn't want to do that over there. I just want those people over there in the Middle East to stay over there in the Middle East and have their own culture and stuff. I want African people to have their own culture. I want, Norwegians to have their own culture. South Americans have their own culture. Australians, whoever, have your own culture. I do not want the rest of the world to swarm into the Middle East and take away and erase their culture. I wouldn't want that to happen. All right. So it's not like I just want to preserve Western culture, my own culture, though I do, but I want to preserve all cultures. I don't think it would benefit the world to erase Chinese culture. Some guy I like Chinese food. I like I like Chinese movies. There's so much that they contribute to the world. Who in their right minds would want to erase the culture? Maybe erase their damn government and let those people be free, but not erase their culture. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just and the bad ones like that stuff over there in the Middle East, that they just need to stay over there. They don't need to spread that shit all over the world. That's they don't have the right to do that. Yeah, I don't even want to control myself. Angie, yeah. I don't understand why people want to control others either. It's just I don't know how to say it other than it's evil. It's an evil thing to want to control other people. I don't get it. No, no shit. One real account in the live chat, and that was you. Huh. Well, that's not the case here with Gen X Thinks. Um, there, there are too many of you here in the chat now that I know. I mean, I've spoken to through email and other means. That yeah. So no, we don't get a whole lot of that bot shit or AI in our chat. I mean, maybe once in a while one will flick up, during one live stream or whatever, and it'll happen, but you can't tell, other than it's a new name. Almost all of these you know, I've seen many times. They're at most of the live streams, and they contribute a lot of real insightful human experiences. So yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad I don't have those kind of live streams. Yeah. Oh yeah, artiste. Yeah, corn is worse for you than a lot of other junk foods. Yep, they put it in everything. Yeah, and it's been GMO'd. Yep. Oh yeah, artiste, you're absolutely right. I try to stay away from that shit like the plague, dude. Yep. Arnis, what's up, Arnis? Glad to see you here, Arnis. Yeah, Angie, yeah, there are good Masons and bad Masons. Wasabi! You remember that commercial, artiste? Wasabi! I used to love that commercial. That shit cracked me up. Rusty Doob, you think you're real, Rusty? I don't know, dude. I think I'm real. I think so. We have to do a reality check. We have to figure out how to do a reality check, Rusty. I'm not driving to damn Canada, dude. So you have to come down here to Florida. All right. I think therefore AI trip. All right, everybody. Damn. All right. I got to get going. So I'm going to have to say goodbye. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Really great conversation. This is the kind of stuff that needs to be talked about. We need to discuss this stuff. Entertain the idea of taking action, peaceful, any kind of action. The one, buying locally, voting with your dollar. That's the only vote that I think really counts, is to vote with your dollar. We can't support companies that are undermining our civilization and brainwashing the next generation and selling our countries down the road. So try to buy small. Oh, that's another thing. If you are interested in doing that, there's an app called Buyer. I should have got the link and put it in there, but I don't have it. But it's an app called Buyer, BUY''R. So and that you scan the barcode on an item, and it will tell you if the company that makes that item is a mega corporation or like some kind of investment capital bullshit, or if it's family owned, privately owned, so you can vote with your dollar that way. Because a lot of these corporations hide behind, other branding. You don't know that PepsiCo owns Doritos and all this shit, that whatever Clorox bought out Tom's organic, stuff and all that. So now you can do that with that app. I just downloaded that app, and I went through there, and I was surprised by a couple of things that are actually in our pantry, because it's difficult. But that app makes it easy and convenient. And I have no ties to the app. I have no ties. I don't get a dime I don't get any sponsorship or anything, for nothing at all if you download that app. It's just to help you and help your fellow citizens of your country, so you know what the hell you're buying. Okay? So yeah, BUY''R, and it seems to work really well. But it'll tell you that shit's owned by a mega corporation right off the bat. You can throw that shit back on the shelf and scan another one, because most of the shit in the grocery store, probably 90% of it, is owned by a mega corporation, and you're just feeding the beast. We're purchasing our own demise by supporting these sorry bastards. So hopefully we can do our small part to change that, and at least sleep better at night, knowing that we're helping smaller businesses and local economy. Okay, who we got here? We got Crabman, Rusty Doob, Angie, Chaz, Audrey, Tripwire, Artiste, Jeff 7. Who else we got? Oliver Rust, Jamie. Did I say Chaz already? Arnis, Mr. Dunham, Jack Mercer, Robert. Let's see. Who else we got? Bucky already left. Dog Karma. Did I say Crabman? I forget if I said Crabman already. But goodbye to everyone. If I do forget your name, I apologize. Savage Lee. Goodbye, Savage. All right. I think I got most of y'all. Like I said, did I say Rusty Doob already? Goodbye, Rusty. If I miss your name, I apologize. But it's hard to keep track of everybody here. I'm hoping YouTube will make a better option for keeping track, so I can say goodbye to everyone individually in a better. Did I say Jeff 7? All right, everybody. I appreciate you dropping by and hanging out with me and discussing this stuff. We don't get into this kind of topic every time on Gen X Things. Once in a while we do. A lot of times we'll talk about nostalgic Gen X stuff, or just complain about boomers and millennials and Gen Z. That's a good pastime. You gotta love that. But when we do have these conversations, they're important, and I think that that they deserve some thought and reflection. Okay, and thank you everyone for hanging out with me and discussing this stuff. I really do appreciate it. All right, goodbye everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, there we go. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support Gen X Thinks by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. I appreciate all the members down in the banner down here. Their support is invaluable, so thank you very much to all the existing members. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can hit that hype button. The hype button is something new that YouTube has come up with for smaller channels like mine, and I really do appreciate those of you who take a second and punch that hype button for me. It helps out a lot, so thank you very much. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff, t-shirts, coffee mugs, ball caps, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'll leave that link down in the description for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.